Welcome to Think Differently with Myra Passel. The seed that I pulled from the bag today is present your best self. My mission is to present topics that will cause you to do some self-reflecting. I want you to take some time and think about yourself. When you take time to focus on yourself, you have the opportunity to work on yourself. Once you work on yourself, you can present a better you to the world and to those you have direct impact on, such as your family, friends, and people at work. Basically, your community. When you take the time to focus on yourself, you may not like what you see sometimes. You might see that you have some areas that need attention. If you don't feel good about yourself, or maybe you have challenging relationships in your life, I want you to focus on yourself. Because remember, you are the only part of the equation that you can control. Why do you have stress around you? Why do you have challenging relationships? Why have you allowed this negative energy into your community? Maybe something in you has allowed you to tolerate, compromise, and accept this situation. Or maybe you didn't even know this is what you were doing, or that you had control over it. What if you have been surrounded by dysfunctional behavior all your life and you didn't even know it? And you have become numb to the behavior because it's all you know. It's your norm. And I'm stressing the word your norm, because this is what you know. Someone else may have been surrounded by a different type of behavior. So that's their norm from their own experiences. So it may be a little different from yours. You might not even know that certain behaviors are dysfunctional behaviors. So, how do you know they are dysfunctional? Well, if the behavior makes someone else that is watching the behavior uncomfortable, then the behavior might be inappropriate or dysfunctional. The benefit to doing research, whether that's the internet where you find articles or you find podcasts or videos that are out there covering these topics, that's how you can have access to information to do your own research and go through that discovery period of different things of interest, but specifically this topic that I'm talking about. Because remember, you are trying to find out why you have a stressful environment or people around you. Why have you accepted this for yourself? Let me run through some examples of dysfunctional behavior. Now, these first three that I'm going to talk about are sort of like pebbles, because with these three that I'm going to start out talking about, they're like pebbles. You drop them in the water and then you get all these ripples because they cause so many other dysfunctional behaviors to develop. The three main ones that I want to talk about and start with is emotional, verbal, and physical abuse. They are the main source of dysfunctionality, especially when they're linked to the word abuse. Now, emotional abuse uses your emotions or a person's emotions to control them. What comes from that? Low self-esteem, the need to please comes out of that. Or maybe even not getting that emotional connection, so then you're very cold, distant, or maybe even overly nurturing, overly, your emotions are very intense, can develop from emotional abuse. Verbal abuse is using harsh, degrading words, maybe even threatening words, that make another person feel bad, or you're even hurting their feelings. This will cause them to behave in a certain way to avoid your hurtful words. Maybe being overcritical to someone, okay? Or maybe even doing the exact opposite, or maybe not even providing words of affirmation to build that person up, but you're actually using words to tear that person down. I heard someone that I listened to as a motivational speaker, and I remember hearing them say, don't over criticize your children to the point where they leave the house or they avoid you. Don't over criticize them out of your life. And it said, they were saying, do just the opposite of that. Love them, speak words of affirmation over them. And, they said, do the exact opposite of over criticizing them, thinking that that's going to help them grow. Physical abuse. Well, we know what that entails: striking or even restraining a person against their will. Now, those three main abusive sins will ripple through a person. It causes an imbalance of power and control. That's dysfunctional. The need to dominate or be submissive to one. I got to submit to them so that they will like me or accept me. Not respecting a person's boundaries or limits. When someone gives you their expectations, but you do just the opposite. I did a previous video about setting expectations for your friends. Well, if you have a friend or someone you're dating who doesn't respect those limits, that's dysfunctional behavior. Withholding affection from someone. Those caring words, those appropriate touches, hugs, letting someone know that they are loved, having those caring words, withholding affection, that's a dysfunctional behavior. The lack of respect, where you're not respecting someone's behavior, respecting who they are, even respecting that other person's body, respecting their thoughts and ideas. That's dysfunctional behavior. When you are constantly blaming others for your possible failures or shortcomings. I didn't get a chance to do this in life because of you. Like when parents may do this because maybe they had children way before they wanted to. So then it did interfere with the things that they wanted to do. But then they turn around and blame their children. Or if you blame someone because you didn't get that promotion. Just the concept of blaming somebody else for your mistakes is dysfunctional behavior, instead of taking ownership of, oh yeah, I did do that. Or, oh, that was my choice and my choice had consequences. Overly codependence on someone. I spoke of this earlier with that needy behavior. Or even having separation anxiety. You don't want to be left. Abandonment issues. You have that fear of somebody leaving you, being abandoned, being left alone, relationship ending. So sometimes you hold on to things that are dysfunctional or abusive or not good for you because you don't want to be alone. You don't want to have that sense of, failure. Poor communication. Not being able to convey your ideas in an effective manner. That's a dysfunctional behavior. If you can't express yourself, express your thoughts, express, how you're feeling in a way that's not belittling or in a way that doesn't make somebody else feel uncomfortable, that's a dysfunctional behavior that needs to be worked on. Another behavior is selfishness. You're only concerned about what you can get or achieve from a situation, and you tend to not extend yourself to helping someone else until you know that what you're going to get out of it is more beneficial to you than to the person that you're actually helping. The inability to compromise. It's either my way or no way. And you tend to go off the deep end or be overly emotional because things are not going your way. You may even continue to bug this person about whatever the issue is until you really just break them down and then they agree to go along with whatever you want to happen. But if the person stands firm, then you may even, as punishment, inflict withholding affection to that person or support as your way of getting back at that person. Insecurity and jealousies are also other behaviors that you have to be mindful of, whether it's being inflicted on you or you're inflicting it on someone else. All these dysfunctional behaviors that I have mentioned are used to manipulate and control a person. If you have practiced or even inflicted any of these behaviors on a person, then you have dysfunctional personality traits that you need to work on. If you don't work on these behaviors, you will continue to victimize the people around you or fall victim to these behaviors as well. You will probably notice that people will start limiting their contact with you if you are exhibiting these behaviors, and they may even choose to eliminate you totally from their life. There are people out here in the world that absolutely don't care that they are doing these things to people around them because they are getting what they want from the situation. And if you have this type of personality where you know you're doing this, goodness. But I would like to point out to you that somewhere in your past, someone exposed or even victimized you with these behaviors, and you didn't like it when it happened to you, but now you have allowed it to become a part of who you are. The only way to get better and to be a better person is to take ownership of the behavior and to work to recover from the trauma that you received, and then work to eliminate these behaviors from your personality. It will not be easy, but the work has to start somewhere. On the other side to this, if you have been on the receiving end of any of these behaviors, you need to do the work of identifying the behavior, but also work to recover from it, because you have been a victim of this exposure or infliction. You need to do the work so that you will not continue to accept this as a norm for you, and so that you won't continue to accept these dysfunctional behaviors into your community, because you will then start to believe that they are normal. The next stage of accepting it as that is normal is that you would then turn around and start victimizing other people. And that's what you want to prevent from happening. Both a victim and a victimizer have to go through the recovery to get better. I encourage you to locate information about this topic, whether it's articles, books, counselorship, or therapy. If you find yourself in a dysfunctional situation, limit your contact. I encourage you to limit your contact with the source of it, or it may come down to where you have to eliminate or remove the source. It doesn't have to be this big announcement of, you have dysfunctional behavior and this is what you're doing to me. And you don't have to do that. You need to protect yourself and just gradually step away. At the end of the day, I just want you to do the work to break the cycle of dysfunctional behavior abuse, so that you can present your best self to your loved ones, both family and friends, and to your extended community. This has been Think Differently with Myra Passel. Remember to build your community wisely.